Yo YouTube, what's going on? It is HIGHMMA, and today we are here to discuss the upcoming pay-per-view event, the UFC event that is going to surprise us all to close out the year, UFC 310. I am super hyped for this card, and today we are going to be going through my full card predictions right from the early prelims all the way to the main event. We ain't fucking around today, boys, so let's not sit around with our dicks in our palms. Let's get straight into the fucking fights. The first one on the card is going to be Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Lucas Brzeski. I think his name's Lucas. I don't fucking know. But trust me, this bag of milk is going to get dealt with. Listen, this guy has lost to, like, the GOAT Mick Parkin. He's lost to Waldo Cortez Acosta. He's lost to Martin Buday. Any decent unranked heavyweight he goes up against, he gets fucking demolished by. And I think we're going to see Kennedy absolutely demolish him as well. Kennedy's really good. He's coming up from light heavyweight. I like his striking. You know, he goes on the outside. He uses a lot of teeps. He's got some good speed for a heavyweight. And I think he's looking really good. He absolutely beat the balls off of fucking Chris Barnett like a month or so ago. And I was really impressed. And I'm liking this fucking guy. And I think I'm going to make some fucking money if I believe in my boy. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to lean towards a round 2 TKO. I can see Kennedy investing into a lot of body kicks early, a lot of teep kicks, and I think that he's going to school Brzeski in the striking. And Kennedy's takedown defense doesn't seem to be absolutely terrible. So I think we're going to see a finish on the feet. I think this is going to be a TKO in round 2. Lucas Brzeski just a fucking lamb to the slaughter. Who gives a shit? Let's keep moving through the card. The next fight we are talking about is Chase Hooper versus Clay Guida. Now, this is the ultimate prospect versus veteran matchup. You've got Clay Guida, who, of all time, you know, he's a legend, but he's not one of those legends where they're legendary. You know what I'm saying? This motherfucker's taken way too many losses in his career to be anywhere near the fucking top 50 or some shit. Like, he's just not there, you know what I'm saying? And neither's Chase Hooper yet, but Chase Hooper is looking really good in his last couple of fights. We've seen a lot of evolution from him in his career so far. He's rolling off of a couple decent wins, got a nice finish earlier this year, and I feel like Clay Guida is the kind of person he's going to be able to finish, especially on the ground, considering he's already beaten him in a grappling competition. I don't really think we need to look much further past that, motherfuckers. I don't think that Clay Guida really has the stand-up to hold off Chase Hooper and his sick grappling to getting Clay Guida on the ground and fucking him up. So Chase Hooper's gonna fuck him up. We don't need to break this shit down like nerds. We're just keeping it real. We're keeping it a buck, and we don't give a fuck. We know Chase Hooper's getting this win. He's beaten him before. I'm betting the house on him. Who cares? Let's move on to the next fight. Chase Hooper by round 1 submission. And the next fight is Michael Chiesa versus Max Griffin. Now, this is a really interesting fight, and it is a fight where I'm going to be leaning towards Michael Chiesa finding the win. I think we're going to see a decision win, more than likely. Now, leading into this, I was more so leaning towards Max Griffin just because I thought, bro, it's fucking Michael Chiesa. He's old, he's washed, you know, never that good. But I actually looked a little bit more into it, and I really thought to myself, you know, the names that he's actually lost to in the last couple of years, like Sean Brady, Kevin Holland, you know, these are actually skilled contenders, you know, like Kevin Holland, that's a skilled contender right there. You know, Sean Brady as well, who's proven that he's a really, really good contender, just put a beating on Gilbert Burns. Really good fight. And I actually respect Michael Chiesa. You know, he went out there earlier this year, finished Tony Ferguson in the first round. Now, obviously, that is probably the most compromised fighter in the UFC. But, yo, I'm keeping it real. Max Griffin isn't exactly the most uncompromised. I mean, bro, he's 39 years of age. He doesn't really have the best record of all time. He's 20-10. And I don't know. I'm just feeling like via tattoos, Michael Chiesa's getting this win. I just feel like the UFC would probably prefer for a bit of a well-known name like Michael Chiesa to get this win. And I just feel like his grappling ability is going to be enough to tire out someone like Max Griffin, who doesn't really have the best fight IQ, if you're asking me. And I just think this is going to be a bit of a boring fight. I think it's going to be a filler fight for the prelims, and it's going to fucking soak up some of that time that they need to stay on air. And I'm leaning towards Chiesa by decision, and I'm fucking beating you all to sleep by a decision with this explanation for this boring-ass fight. So, I'm picking Chiesa by decision. Let's move on. The next fight we are talking about is... Now, we are onto a fight that I am really, really anticipating. I'm super, super excited for this one right here, boys. It is Joshua the Honey Badger Van taking on Cody Durden. Now, you know what? I'm rocking with this little fucking motherfucker right here. You know why? Because I've traveled his area of the world a lot. I'm talking about Joshua Van right here. I've spent a lot of time in Southeastern Asia, you know, not specifically in his home country. I'm pretty sure he comes from Burma. I could be incorrect. But I've spent a lot of time in Thailand, in Vietnam, in Cambodia, and I love the fucking part of the world that he's from. I love the people, I love the culture, and I also love his fight style. This motherfucker's a marauder, man. He's coming straight at you to put a fucking beating on you. He's fucking sick. And I think in that fight where he got caught earlier this year against Charles Johnson, I'm pretty sure, I just feel like it's one of those times. He just got caught. It's one of those things. It happens to the best of us. And I don't think that we're going to be seeing that happening again anytime soon. And if we do, it will not be against the likes of motherfucking Cody Durden, bro. People are overrating Cody Durden way too much going into this. I'm hearing way too much about the Matt Schnell win. Bro, it's Matt Schnell. I could KO him. I don't give a fuck. Matt Schnell is a bum. The fact you beat him isn't impressive. And Joshua Van is going to walk through you, bro. We don't give a fuck. Joshua Van by round 3 TKO. I don't give a fuck. We're not getting technical about these early card picks, boys. I'm trusting my gut, and I'm telling you Josh is getting this shit done. We don't even need to talk no more about this shit. Let's keep it moving through the card. The next fight we are talking about is another sick fight on this card. Well, it's not as sick. You know what? I'm going to keep it real. Let's stop the fucking glaze here, okay? This is high MMA. This isn't fucking Kenny Okoye. This is a bedtime MMA. No glaze in here. But Weidman versus Anders, what a fucking fight. I'm looking forward to this one. I think we're going to see a finger maxing masterclass from the finger maxing god himself, Chris Weidman. You know this motherfucker's always trying to put his finger somewhere it should not go, and we never know where that might go against this zesty motherfucker right here, Eric Anders. Pulled out of the last fight because of an illness, and it got scrapped off of the 309 main card and found its way onto the early prelims of UFC 310. Shows you how terrible the 309 card was. You're gonna hear a lot about that in my review of all the cards of this year video coming next week. But let's not focus on that, and let's focus on this fight. How do I see it going? I see Eric Anders not doing too well. He's an ex-linebacker. I think his defense isn't going to be doing great. I think he's going to gas out really fast due to recovering from whatever illness this is. I think that the antibiotics he must have had to be taken are going to affect his cardio in some way, because I have been on antibiotics in the past and they fucked my shit up, bro. And you know what? At the end of the day, even though Chris Weidman isn't the greatest fighter of all time, you still got to, you know, real recognize real. You know what I mean? This dude's kind of good, and he's probably going to fucking finger Eric Anders' eyes into a win. So that's what I'm picking on. You know what? Honestly, that's what's leading me towards fucking Weidman in this shit. So you know what? I'm picking Weidman. I'm picking Weidman. So let's keep moving through the card. I'm picking Weidman by decision. Next fight we are talking about is Randy Brown versus Bryan Battle. Easily going to be fight of the night. Absolute fucking banger. This is main card worthy. Honestly, this is main card worthy. I feel like this is going to be one of the best fights on the card. Two absolute dogs in the welterweight division. Two of the highest potential fighters in terms of what they could do in the next year or two. Now, I'm leaning towards Bryan Battle in this one, but it's going to be super fucking close. And if you're picking Randy Brown, I'm not calling you dumb for it at all, because this motherfucker has a solid resume. Only lost to elite competition. And you know what? So has Bryan Battle, to be honest. I mean, his only real loss is to Renat, and Renat isn't terrible. I mean, he did just get his ass whooped by Carlos Leal, but we'll ignore that. I just think that Bryan Battle, you know, volume-wise, is going to be a little bit too much for Randy Brown, and I think he's going to push a pace on him, similar to what he did with Kevin Doucette, and I just feel like Randy Brown is going to try and keep up, but he's just not going to be able to. And in round 2 or 3, we're just going to see Bryan Battle overpower him with strikes, and I think we're going to see a TKO victory for our boy. And we're going to see him break into the rankings, do all that badass shit. We don't give a fuck. He's coming for fucking Carlos Prates. No, he's not. He's not. But it's going to be a fucking sick fight. It's going to be a war. I think it's going to be a mainly stand-up fight. I think they're both going to go into this wanting to prove that they are the, you know, they have more of a dog in them. They're the more aggressive, you know, they're the bigger marauder. And I think it's going to make for a fucking sick fight on the feet. So make sure you tune into this one. Our boy, Bryan Battle, is getting this shit done. But with that being said, let's move on to the next fight we've got to talk about today, which is Movsar EDP Evloev versus Aljamain Poopstain Sterling. What a fight we have in store here, boys. absolute banger cooking up. I feel like this could be a really entertaining fight. I feel like the boring grapplingness of each other is going to cancel out. We've got Evloev, who isn't terrible on the feet. He's very, very strong. He wobbled like, you know, great stand-up strikers like Arnold Allen at points. He did really well against Lopez. He also showed in that Lopez fight that he knows how to last out fucking submission attempts. We saw him just lasting out some of the scariest looking submissions that you can see someone just sitting. And he just didn't care. Well, obviously he did care, but, you know, it just goes to show that this motherfucker knows what he's doing on the ground against a really, really good submission artist like Aljamain Sterling. But the difference between these two guys' grappling is Evloev isn't really a finisher, he's more of a smotherer, if that's even a word. And I feel like just the raw strength of him, don't get me wrong, Aljo is a big, big dude, and he's very strong, but I feel like Evloev's going to be stronger, and I feel like on the feet, Evloev is going to have the advantage. So I see a close, but very easy to see decision win for Evloev. I just think he's going to outwork Aljo in every way possible in the fight. I just don't know how else to say it to you boys. Evloev is coming for that win, and I'm picking him by decision. Let's move on through the card though, because the next fight we are talking about is the Garimbo versus Vicente Luque. A bit of an interesting fight. I'm not sure why it's so high on the card, but we've got Themba Garimbo, who, you know what, he's doing pretty well so far in his career, showing himself to be a pretty decent fighter. Not the best, you know, he's taken a loss, but I'm pretty pleased with him. He's got himself a finish as well, so good on him. And he's taken on someone who I think is going to be very easy to finish in Vicente Luque. You know, Jeff Neal beat this motherfucker so bad he had a brain bleed, apparently. And, you know, like, it's all well and good getting a fucking Dos Anjos win in the meantime. And I'm not talking about Neal here, I'm talking about Luque. But in his last fight, he got pounded by Joaquin Buckley, and you know what, even though it sounds zesty, he got pounded, and I think he might get pounded in this fight. I just really can't see Vicente Luque in Big 2024 lasting a full 3 rounds with another fighter, with another person for that matter. I just don't know if he's going to make it out, and I hope he does, because he is a really good fighter, and I do like him, and I respect the hustle, but I just feel like that Themba Garimbo is going to outwork him in this fight on the feet, and I don't really feel like Vicente Luque has the conditioning to be, you know, doing really well on the ground. I feel like he doesn't take his training as seriously as he used to do. I feel like he knows he's on the way out of the sport. That's why he's taking fights like this, and why he was willing to go into a Nick Diaz fight. And I think that will link into the result of this fight. So I'm going to pick Themba Garimbo by decision. If not decision, you know what? I'm not even picking it by decision. TKO in the 3rd round. I just feel like Vicente Luque might give up on himself. I don't know if he is as confident as he should be in himself going into this fight. We'll have to wait and see. But without further ado, let's keep moving through the card. We're getting through these fucking fights now, boys. The next one we are talking about is Dominic Reyes versus Anthony Smith. Now, this is just one of those fights where it's really annoying because I have to go with Dom Reyes, even though I'm not his biggest fan. I am more of an Anthony Smith fan, but I've just given up on this motherfucker. The fact that he lost to a Delidze coming up in weight, a fucking Delidze, and he lost to him at light heavyweight. It was just really embarrassing to see. And after that, it made me think, you know what, that Vitor Petrino win really was a fluke when he got that guillotine. I don't think that Anthony Smith is on any kind of title run, any kind of decent anything. I don't see him getting a finish. I do think that Dom Reyes is chinny as fuck, but I don't think that Anthony Smith has the lion heart in him to actually go for that finish. And I think that he's just going to let Dom Reyes kickbox around him. I don't think there's going to be too much grappling in this fight, fellas. And if there is, it's just going to be like smudge wrestling against the cage. There won't be much heart in it. There won't be a lot of hustle from Anthony Smith to get this fight to the ground, I don't think. And I think we're going to see a really, really good fight from Dom Reyes, honestly. I think we're going to see him put on a great show. And even though I'm not the biggest Dom Reyes fan in the world, I've got to say, I'm really looking forward to this fight. And I think he's going to do really well against someone like Anthony Smith, a very compromised fighter at this point in his career. I think he's going to pick up a pretty good win. And I think we should see an Ozdemir fight or something like that after this. I feel like that'd be fucking sick. But I'm going to pick Dom Reyes by like maybe round 3 TKO or maybe a decision where it's quite dominant. I think we're going to see quite a lot of damage. But that's just my pick. I'm going to lean towards Dom Reyes. You know, he got that really good win over Jacoby, I'm pretty sure it was, earlier this year. We've seen Anthony Smith just showing us that he's still an on and off fighter. We don't know whether to pick him or not pick him. But I feel like you wouldn't be stupid to pick Dom Reyes going into this one, despite the fact that he's been chinned a couple times. So I'm rolling with Dom Reyes. Fuck it. Let's keep moving through the card, though. The next fight we are talking about is... we have Nate the Train Landwehr taking on Doohoo Choi. And honestly, I'm going to lean towards Nate Landwehr. I'm not doing any research into this fight. All I had to hear is that his wife really sadly lost a child going into this one. And I'm not trying to make jokes about the situation or anything like that. I just really genuinely feel like that kind of event happening to someone really changes them and can really make them lock into things, can really make someone, especially a fighter, hone into his fucking craft. Look at Ngannou, showing this year alone that you can go from the lowest of lows to the highest of highs. You know what I'm saying? He went through all of that with his son and the Joshua loss, and then going on and beating Renan Ferreira. And I hope that Nate Landwehr can show us that you could go through something as horrible as what he has gone through outside of this fight and then come in and just put on a fucking show. So I don't really want to look into this fight too deeply. I just want to fucking, you know, root for Nate in this one. So I'm saying round 1 KO. Fuck it, boys. I'm rooting for Nate. I don't give a fuck about Doohoo Choi. I really feel for Nate. And, you know, hearing about that shit, I don't know why. That shit made me sad, man. Because, you know, no one deserves to go through that shit. So I'm picking Nate. I don't give a fuck. Let's move on to the next fight, boys. Because it is Bryce Mitchell versus Kron Gracie. Just a pathetic fight. Why is it on the main card? I don't even want to waste my time talking about this shit. This fucking boring Gracie shit. Bro, Bryce Mitchell's going to win TKO in the second round. I don't even want to endorse this kind of bullshit on the main card. Why do we have this little Israel fucking Einstein-looking motherfucker on the main card? It just pisses me off to even talk about. But if we talk about the fight itself, this Gracie motherfucker clearly isn't going to have any stand-up. He's going to be butt scooting around the fucking octagon for as long as we can, you know, keep the TV on before we turn that shit off. You know what I'm saying? So I hope that Bryce Mitchell comes out here and just, you know, puts on a show, seeing as in his last fight, he got sent to the Shadow Realm. He's gonna want to make a statement in this one. And I feel like some bum like Kron Gracie is the kind of bum that he can make a statement with. I want him to go out there and get a brutal KO. And if he doesn't, he's missed an opportunity. I don't want him to go out here and just have some boring, smudgy decision and just secure himself as a boring fighter forever. Because if that's what he does, that's what he is, in my opinion. Okay? So I'm rocking with Bryce Mitchell going into this one, boys. I just don't think that Kron Gracie is going to be able to hang in there on the feet with Bryce. And I also feel like Bryce, just fundamentally, wrestling-wise, is a lot better than people give him credit for. He was low-key rolling with Ilia Topuria at times, bro. I'm just going to say it. You know what I'm saying? I was really impressed by him. So, I'm rocking with fucking Bryce Mitchell, brother. I'm rocking with Bryce Mitchell, brother. Fuck seatbelts, man. So, we're rocking with Bryce. We don't give a fuck. Let's move on to the next fight, though. Now we're getting into the actually real ones. Cyril Gane versus Alexander Volkov, a fight that I have been super excited about. I was really annoyed when it got cancelled off of 308 because I'm super fucking excited for this shit, man. I feel like Gane is gonna win because, you know, he knows Volkov very well. They fought before, and he's gonna know the tendencies that Volkov has on the feet. Even though Volkov's striking has improved a lot, you know, the tendencies aren't going to change up too much. And I feel like Gane is a really intelligent fighter. And I feel like after the John Jones fight, he's going to force himself to game plan a lot more going into fights. Because look at what John Jones did. Just saw where his weaknesses are and immediately took advantage of them. That's something that Cyril Gane needs to do to his opponents going forward. I feel like Volkov is someone he can do it against. He needs to figure out where Volkov's weak points are, take advantage of it, and look for the finish. I feel like the main thing that Cyril Gane needs to do going into this fight is look for the finish. Don't just take this shit to a decision. You need to go in there and show Tom Aspinall, show John Jones, show whoever the fuck that you're ready for the title shot and show that you're ready to take that belt. I don't think that he will because of the fact that his grappling just isn't there. But he could, and he could have been improving his grappling while he was gone. We wouldn't know. But we saw against John Jones, it's non-existent and he freezes up on the ground. Now, he doesn't have to worry about going to the ground against a Volkov. now. Let's talk a little bit about Volkov. You know, he has done really well, absolutely dominated Pavlovich. I was really happy with that fight, and he's looking in really, really good form in his last fights. But at the end of the day, Gon has already beaten him. Gon fundamentally is the better striker. And, you know, Volkov isn't a good grappler. I doubt he's going to be shooting for the legs. And I doubt Gon's going to be shooting for the legs. And what happened the last time that neither of them were shooting for the legs? Gon won. So I'm going to lean towards Gon going into this one. And, you know, if Volkov does, you know, beat the odds and win, I won't be unhappy at all because I'm a huge Volkov fan. But I'm just going to lean towards Gon going into this one. I feel like it's the realistic pick. I feel like it's the right pick, so that's why I'm going for it. But the next fight we are talking about today is Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Ian Machado, the cook Gary. Now, this is an insane fight. A fight where I really don't know what to do. I've got one set of motherfuckers telling me, hey, yo, this is going to be easy for Shavkat. No worries at all. How are you even considering Gary? And then I've got a group of motherfuckers telling me, nah, Gary's going to prove you wrong, bro. His distant management is going to be there, man. You know, I've had people telling me that Ian Gary's going to submit Shavkat. Bro, I don't know what to do with this pick. But I think I'm going to stick with my original one. And I'm going to stick with a submission win for Shavkat Rakhmonov. Listen, Ian Gary is amazing in terms of the distance management, the kicks, you know, the hustle when he sees the finish. He's really fucking good. And he knows, like I was just saying with Cyril Gon, he knows how to find the weak point and take advantage of it. But the thing is, he's someone that likes to fight on the outside. He likes moving backwards. He likes reading his opponents. Now, can he read someone with the strength and the aggression and the forward pressure of Shavkat, or is Shavkat just going to cut out the thinking time and just get way too in his face, grab him up, rough him up too much, get him in the clinches where he doesn't like it, get into the ground where he's not going to like it even more? I think he does. And I think he's going to see success in the striking as well. I feel like people are counting Shavkat out a little bit more now as the fight gets closer, which, you know, isn't a surprise because in general, Shavkat is quite overrated. But you know what? I'm still picking him going into this fight, man. I'm picking him via round 2 or 3 TKO. Not TKO. Submission, my bad, people. I just feel like that Gary is going to get a little bit too hopeful on the feet. He's going to have quite a few moments of success early in the fight, I'm going to imagine. But as soon as Shavkat sees that option to take it to the ground, he will do. And I just do not see Gary swimming in those deep waters. And if he does, all respect to him. I won't be mad if he wins this fight at all. I really wanted to see him fight Colby Covington. I hope that fight happens down the line. And also, I just want to say, I've always been a big Ian Gary fan. Go look at my earlier videos. I've always been a big Ian Gary fan. I really fuck with Ian Gary. I know I make fun of him and shit, but I love this guy. I love his fight style. I'm leaning towards Shavkat out of a prediction standpoint, not of who I'm more of a fan of, because I'm way more of a fan of Ian Gary. I love him. I love the way that he has a lot of love for his kid, despite the fact that his wife is bouncing on like 5 dudes a day. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, bro. I'm getting off topic. But you know what? I'm picking Shavkat. So fuck all that sentimental shit. Shavkat coming for the win. Round 2 or 3, submission win. Let's fucking go, boys. But let's move on to the main event of the night. Pantoja versus Asakura. Now, if you have been tuning into my lives recently with my good friend Cloth Tables, you would see that we are very much on the fucking Kai Asakura hype train. We really want him to get the win, man, and I feel like he can. I've been watching his fights. I think that he has some monstrous power. And I think his power is going to be really underrated, I should say, going into this Pantoja fight. I feel like those knees are going to be a huge problem for Pantoja going into this fight. I feel like coming from an organization like Rising, where you're throwing knees way more often, I just know that Asakura is going to be so much more likely to throw knees. And I know that is why it just sounds so crazy to go for this take. But I'm going for like a round 2, maybe 1 early KO. Early knee to the head KO. Oh my god, I want it to happen so much. I've been manifesting this shit. If I see Pantoja get another boring, smothering win, it's gonna piss me off. I feel like Asakura has the skills to read when Pantoja is gonna shoot for the fucking ankles. And I know he will do at some point. And I think that, you know, Asakura is going to clock him. He's going to clock him well. He's going to catch him coming in a couple times. And eventually, one of these times, he's just going to wobble Pantoja just a bit too much. And he's going to smell blood. And he's going to jump on him and get that TKO or KO. We don't know. And don't get me wrong, I'm gonna just point it out while we're on the subject. Well, we are on the subject. We're talking about the fucking fight. But, you know, Pantoja might do what he always does and stink it up and do some smudge wrestling and just bore the fucking fight and cruise his way to a decision win. You know, I'm working so hard for these, expecting everyone to give a fuck. No one cares about your hard work on motherfuckers' balls while you're trying to get them on the floor, bro. No one cares. What I care about is an Asakura knee to his forehead, bro. That's all I care about, and that's all I'm thinking about here on the HIGHMMA channel, bro. So I'm rooting for Asakura. I really want him to get this win. I feel like he could be an amazing name to have in the fucking flyweight division. Look at all of the fresh Asian talent that we've got in there recently, you know. Rei Tsuruya, Nakamura, Taira, now Asakura. You know, I know that some of those are at 135 and they won't really be inclined to come down. But, you know, these Eastern Asian motherfuckers aren't that big and they can cut down to 125. And I think in the next couple of years, we're going to see the Japanese, the Koreans, those kind of people absolutely dominating this area of the sport. I feel like they're aggressive, their grappling is insane, the striking is insane, and they're going to come through and start slaughtering motherfuckers, starting with Pantoja, bro. So let's fucking go. Let's get some W's in the fucking comments for this video. Let's see some likes. You know what I'm saying? I don't usually ask for some, but let's see some likes. You know what I mean? A lot of time has gone into this video. Thank you all for watching. I'm going to close it up here with the final fucking prediction. I hope you liked it all. And now my fucking outro seems so hypocritical. But you know what I'm going to say. You don't have to like. You don't have to subscribe. Do what the fuck you want, man. But I hope you have a nice day, evening, night, whatever the fuck you're doing. I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace.